بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم۔
شروع اللہ کے نام سے جو رحمان و رحیم ہے۔
اقرأ بسم ربک الذی خلق۔
پڑھو اے نبی اپنے رب کے نام کے ساتھ جس نے پیدا کیا۔
خلق الانسان من علق۔
جمے ہوئے خون کے ایک لوتھڑے سے انسان کی تخلیق کی۔
اقرأ وربک الاکرم۔
پڑھو اور تمہارا رب بڑا کریم ہے۔
الذی علم بالقلم۔
جس نے قلم کے ذریعے سے علم سکھایا۔
علم الانسان ما لم يعلم۔
انسان کو وہ علم دیا جسے وہ نہ جانتا تھا۔
بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم. I welcome all the parents and students of BCS. Assalamu alaikum. The previous lecture was about modal verbs, auxiliaries and modal verbs. You were given homework. I hope you have done that and you have understood very well. Actually today the topic is participles. The topic is participles. Do you know what are participles? Okay, verbs ending in ing. Participles, verbs ending in ing. The work is in progress but or not yet finished. The work is in progress or not yet finished is called a present participle. I will give you the examples. Now listen again. I am telling you the definition. Please listen to my lecture because you will be getting your homework through my lecture. Okay? Definition of present participles. Participles, verbs ending in ing. The work which is in progress or not yet finished is called a present participle. For example, I am giving you an example over here. See, the boy is flying a kite. Mother is baking a cake. In both the sentences, there is no certainty of time. The time is not being given whether the boy is flying a kite for 2 hours, for 1 hour or for 15 minutes. Okay? And mother is baking a cake. How long did it take for the mother to bake a cake? So, the present participles with the verb ing, baking. Okay, the boy is flying a kite. What is the boy doing? Flying a kite. So the boy is noun, okay, and here mother. So whenever we are looking at the participles, it becomes a verb participle. This is known as a verb participle because we are using a verb over here. کیا ہو گیا میری رائٹنگ کو آج؟ اوکے دین مدر از بیکنگ اے کیک. who mother. So the noun is mother and this is baking, so this becomes an adjective because it is telling something about the mother. So this is adjective participle. Okay, it means a participle takes a it is a partaker of verb and adjective. It can be formed by verb noun and it is also formed by noun adjective. So this is called a participle. Did you get it? Now do you know? Okay. Now gerund and participles are confusion. Okay? बहुत से लोग जो है बहुत परेशान होते हैं कि gerund में भी ing है और present participle में भी ing है. We are getting ing in both the forms, but I will tell you gerund. Gerund See, eating a lot causes indigestion. It means gerund form comes at the beginning of a sentence, starts with the gerund. It has the same formula of present participle, ing. But whenever you want to know about gerund, so you will see the sentence in the beginning. And I think in my personal, what should I say, in my personal suggestion, they are also giving suggestions of taking care. Eating a lot causes indigestion. बहुत ज़्यादा खाने से बदहज़मी होती है. Now come to the present progressive. In other words, we say present continuous tense, isn't it? Present progressive. It has the same, but in this the formula is subject plus helping verb plus verb ing, first form plus ing plus object. Okay? And here it is participle starts. Okay? Now present progressive. Eating a lot causes indigestion. I like eating chocolates. Okay, I like eating chocolates. मुझे chocolates खाना बहुत पसंद है. या मैं chocolates खा रही हूँ. I am eating. Okay, I will put here am for progressive. I am eating chocolates. मैं chocolates खा रही हूँ. तो क्या देखा आपने फर्क? कुछ फर्क नजर आया? G. Now you have seen that eating a lot causes indigestion. Gerund form comes at the beginning of the sentence. It is used as a subject. It is used as a subject. It is used as a subject. Now our subject is over here. I hope you got this. Then second one example of gerund. Now the second example is walking is a good exercise. Walking is a good exercise. This is called gerund form. Okay, and now she is walking daily to school and gets tired. वो रोजाना स्कूल को चलती भी जा रही है और वो थक रही है. So this is the present progressive, and this is the gerund form. I hope you have understood. Okay? The question comes like this in present progressive. What are you doing? Where are you going? Why are you weeping? This is called progressive tenses. Okay? Now, see on page 136. Page 136. Read the sentences below. Mounting his horse, the soldier rolled off. A soldier wounded in the Great War came limping by. In the first sentence, the word mounting refers to the noun soldier and therefore behaves like an adjective. It also takes an object horse after it and therefore acts like a transitive verb. Now what have you seen? Mounting the horse, the soldier rolled off. Page number 136. Mounting the horse, the soldier rolled off. Mounting the horse, the soldier rolled off. Mounting means what? Mounting means to get down or to go away. So mounting is a verb. It has ing, so it has become a verb present participle. Because it is telling about the soldier. Okay? And we got an object horse. So this can be, we got the object horse. So this also can be transitive verb because it needs an object. Transitive verb always needs an object to make the passive of it. Okay? Now the second one is and the soldier is a noun but it is acting like an adjective. Okay? So that's why it can be verb present participle and adjective present participle too. Do you understand? Okay. Then the second one is a soldier wounded in the Great War came limping by. What kind of a soldier? Okay? Wounded soldier. So the verb is telling about a soldier. A soldier wounded in the Great War came limping by. These are called verb participle thick. Did you understand? Because we are using the verb with the participle. So it is known as verb participle, and over here we got soldier. Soldier wounded. Now it's soldier wounded. So it becomes a verb participle. And now come on the page 136. And what is a soldier? What is a soldier? noun. So both you can take it is telling about a noun, you know, always, and a noun qualifies an adjective, it gives meaning to the adjective. So this is called adjective participle and verb participle too. In this book, you have got the different definitions. The word mounting thus partakes of the nature of a verb and an adjective and is therefore called a participle. Okay? Then the second one, similarly in sentence 2, the word wounded partakes of the nature of a verb and an adjective and is therefore a participle. Whenever there is a noun, it means it behaves like an adjective. It acts like an adjective. If there is no noun, then we can't say it is an adjective participle. In these sentences, it is a verb participle and it is also called an adjective participle. Did you understand it? Did you get my point, what I want to say? Now, open your books, page number 137, exercise 1. In this, in this topic, you are recapping about noun, about adjective, about verb and adverb. Now look over here, one example more. Father is riding a horse. Noun again and riding, and object is horse. So it means it is an adjective participle, okay? Because it is also a verb participle because it is taking partake of nature and it is showing adjective and a verb. Ride. How did we make riding? Of course, ride is the verb and riding is the present. Riding is the present participle. What is father doing? अगर आप सवाल खुद कर लें, what is father doing? Father is riding a horse. It means it is an okay, then father is riding a horse carefully. You know, whenever we get ly in the end, it is known as adverb. So, when you want to take out the adverb, say how. How? Carefully. Father is riding a horse carefully. It is also it means in this sentence it is also showing an adverb. Father is riding a horse carefully. So carefully is an adverb. Now let's do the exercise on page number, exercise 1, page number 137. Pick out the participles in the following sentences. Okay. Number one is he saw a man leading a monkey. He saw a man leading a monkey. Number one, he saw a man just for some moments I will erase ing. Now what part of the speech is it? Lead. What part of the speech it is? It is a verb. ठीक है ना? Now when you add ing, it becomes a participles. Okay? So pick up the participles in the following sentences. As you know, we are adding ing to the base form of the verb, that is the first form of the verb. There are three forms of verbs. Base form, verb first form, okay, past participle, verb second form. Verb second form is known as past form. Verb second form is known as past form. Verb third form is known as past participle, and then when you are using the verb ing, it comes in the after the three forms. Okay? So we are making ing plus verb first form, base form. Now the second sentence is, I met him coming down the street. Again, if I erase ing and therefore put in, so what it becomes? It becomes a verb. So what are we doing? We are adding ing to make a participle. So according to the rule of grammar, we will not use e, we will just write ing. So this is the verb present participle. This is also participle. Okay? Have you understood? Now come to the exercise 2. Now over here you have got the exercise. Mounting his horse, the soldier rode away. Clapping his hands with joy, the child laughed loudly. Number 5, I can hear him singing a song. Singing in a chorus, we went on our way. I pity that woman carrying with a heavy load on her head. The boys playing in the Maidan had a merry time, waving their handkerchiefs. The people cheered the president. They heard the people ringing the bells. Again, you got participles ending in ing describes action which is in progress or unfinished and are called present participles. What does it mean? We are mentioning the participles but not the certainty of the time. I hope you have understood. Now come to the exercise 2. Past participle. What is the identification of past participle? Can you tell me? Okay. Which end in ed, en, which end in ed, en and t. Okay? And L and T shows finished action and they are called past participle. It ends in ed, en, d and t. This shows that the work has been finished. What does the past participle show? That the action and finished action are called past participles. The finished action are called past participle. This is the difference. In present participle, the work is going on, okay? The work is in progress or not yet finished. But in past participle, when the verb ends in ed, en, t, d, finished action are called past participle. That means the work has been completed, okay? Now, look at the exercise 2. See what it is, bit ending ed. I saw the note written, here it is en, written and posted, ed. That means the action has been completed, the action is finished. I saw the note written and posted. That means the action has been completed. So this is called past participle. The past participle has an identification. In the verb you get ed, en, t or d. Okay. Now come to exercise 2. Pick out the present and past participle in the following sentences and state the noun or pronoun to which refers. Page number 138. Walking along the road, he saw a cobra. Now, you can see there is no en or there is no d or there is no t. So, it means it is present participle. Now, what you have to do? You have to make columns like this. Okay? This is present participle. Okay? And then pronoun, noun and pronoun. Now can you see over here, walking along the road, he saw a cobra. This is the present participle. So you will write over here, walking. Okay. Then road is a noun. Cobra is a noun. And pronoun is he. We have to just do this work. We have to just identify the present participle, the noun and pronoun, and state in which participle it is used. So it is used in present participle. Okay, then the second is hearing the noise, he looked through the window. Number 2, hearing the noise, he looked this is THROUGH, through the window. Hearing the noise, he looked through the window. So what is it again? We are using a present participle because I have already told you what is gerund and what is present participle. Gerund. So it is coming over here, hearing. So it is a present participle. The noise, he looked through the window. Window is noun and he is a pronoun. Okay? So in this manner, you have to do all these sentences. Number 3, deceived by his friends, he lost all hope. Okay, I'll tell you the last one. As I had told you that a verb ending in ed, it's called a past participle. So what is this? This is called past participle. So you will write here past participle deceived. This is past participle, deceived, because we got a verb with the ed, so it is called past participle. And then there are the pronouns. Friend is a noun, he and his is a noun, is a pronoun. Okay, deceived is a past participle. I had already just now told you the verbs ending in d, ed, n, t or d is called past participle of the past participle, and this is the identification. Okay, I hope you have understood. Now you will start doing number 4. Okay, 4 to 12 you will do it yourself. Should I read the sentences for you? Surrounded by the enemy, the army was forced to surrender. Staggering back, he sank to the ground. Landing at Calais, we proceeded to Paris. Having no guide with us, we lost our way. Driven by hunger, he stole a piece of bread. I saw the boy posting the letter. I saw the letter posted. Taking pity on the mouse, the magician turned it into a cat. He walked away whistling. See, you have to just do the present participle and past participle. If there is no, in the beginning there is no identification of past participle or present participle, please leave those sentences. I hope you might have understood. Now, we will come to exercise 3, page number 139. Did you understand it? Okay. Now, 139. The question is that examine each sentence and state whether it is correct or incorrect. If correct, point out the noun or pronoun in which the participle refers. Rewrite correctly all incorrect sentences. What you have to do? You have to just check the sentences. If they are correct, then you will take out the noun and you will take out the pronoun. But if it is incorrect, you will write the sentence correct. Okay? Number 1. Wishing to borrow a book, he called on me yesterday. Is it correct? Do we use on with the days? Like yesterday, tomorrow, so we never use. So you will make a column like this. Correct? Incorrect. So if your sentence is incorrect, what will you do? You will write this sentence correctly. Okay? See, wishing to borrow a book, he called me yesterday. That was incorrect, so I have corrected the sentence. But when the sentence is correct, you have to just take out the noun and pronoun from it. Okay? Now, the second one is, walking along the road, he saw a cobra. I think we have done this. Exercise 2, we are on exercise 3. Okay. Returning from the theatre, it began to rain. Returning from the theatre, it began to rain. Number 2, what do you think? Is this sentence correct? What do you think? Returning from the theatre, it began to rain. Of course, it is a correct sentence. What you have to do? You have to take out the noun and pronoun. What you will do? You will have to take out the noun and pronoun from the sentences. If the sentence is correct, you will just write down the noun and pronoun of it. Returning from the theatre, it began to rain. Okay. So, is there any pronoun over here? No. There is only noun. Correct sentence it is. Number 2 is correct. So, you will take out just noun or pronoun. Noun and pronoun. Returning from the theatre, it began to rain. Returning from the theatre, it began to rain. So the noun is rain, theatre. Is there any pronoun? Can you see any pronoun? No. So pronoun we don't have in this sentence. If the sentence is correct, you will just take out the noun or pronoun. I think you have understood. Now let's come to exercise 4. What we have got in exercise 4? What we have? Turn to page number 141. 140. In question 2, what you have to do? You have to read the sentences. If they are correct, so you will take out just the noun and pronoun. And if it is incorrect, you will write the sentence correctly. This was the work of exercise 2. Now, exercise 3. The work of exercise 2. What was exercise 2? Could you tell me? We have to take out the present and past participles. Okay? And what did you do after taking out the present and past participle? What did you do? Pick out the pronoun and past participle, present and past participle in the following sentence and state the noun or pronoun to which it refers. If there are any noun and pronouns in exercise 2, first you will write whether it is present participle or past participle. Then you will take out the noun and pronoun, and in exercise 3 what you have to do? You have to see whether it is a correct sentence or incorrect sentence, whether it is present participle or past participle, and if it is a correct sentence, then you will just take out the noun or pronoun which it refers, and if it is incorrect, you will write the sentence correctly. Okay, now come to the exercise 4. Pick out the gerunds. Exercise 4, page number 140. Number 1, gerund. Number 2, participles. As I have told you, again I am reminding you, gerund is used as a subject in a sentence and participle is the progressive tense. It shows the work is going on. So come to exercise 4, number 1. I remember reading the book long ago. Now what are you seeing in this sentence? Is reading coming as a subject? No. So what comes in your mind? It is a progressive tense. Okay, so this is, underline this, it is participle of of the verb. Then number 2, preparing the meal required only a short time. Number 1, preparing the meal required a short time. Now, what do you think? Is preparing coming in the middle of the sentence? No. So, this is a gerund and it is used as a subject. So, this is participle. What do you have to take out? This is the gerund. So, you can write like this, make 2 columns, okay, gerund and participles. You have to make columns again. You will write the sentences and then you will start doing the work. In number 1, reading is a participle, okay? And in number 2, preparing is a gerund. So, gerund form always comes as a subject at the beginning of the sentence. I hope you have understood very well. If there is any confusion, you can contact to the management and do this work in your copies. This is done in the solution. Now, this is the homework of video teaching. There are many definitions in the book, but the definition which I gave in my lecture, you will write that definition first, okay? Okay, write the definition of participle through my lecture, give examples. And now you have known how to form verb and noun, isn't it? So you will do the formation. Then verbs and nouns. I will give you example. This is verb and this is noun. Okay? Live. In Urdu, we get the sound of na in verb first form. Live, zinda rehna. Okay? Life, zindagi. This is noun and this is verb. Okay? In the same way, we got another word, live, life, die, death. Die means marna, death means mouth. Okay? First you will make at least 10 formation of verb to noun. Make the formation of noun. Okay? I hope you have understood. You can make it easily, and in this way you will learn how to form noun, verbs and nouns. Now I will come to the lesson 2. Speak or not to speak. Okay? I am telling you briefly. I always tell in the class that sensible persons speak less or think twice before you speak. Now, this is not related with this, but to speak or not to speak is the lesson of today. I will tell you about this lesson briefly. Actually, in the world, 5,000 to 6,000 languages are being existed, okay? But now, due to the population, you know what happened? Only 96% or 4% of the population is speaking the language. Languages need 100,000 speakers to speak, okay? So, now what happened? There are some languages which are known as dead language, that means not in use, not spoken, like Greek or Latin. And there is another country which is facing the problem, and you know it very well, it is China. It is in danger in extinction because they have got billion kinds of languages, but the speakers are very few. What did I say you? 100,000 speakers need to speak the language, so it is in use. And if there are not 100,000 speakers, that means that language will be disappeared, vanished, or it will not be used by any way. There are some, dialects. Dialects means regional languages or local languages, like Greek and Latin. They have disappeared from the world and they are known as dead languages. Still, there are some places where there are dead languages, but people still hope for it, and few people are using that language to keep it alive. But 100,000 speakers need for the life of the language. Now come and see, we will read the extract over here. Okay? To speak or not to speak? That's not a very easy question to answer because it's difficult to distinguish languages. Distinguish means to make difference. Distinguish. Okay, this is the proper pronunciation. Distinguish, not distinguish. Distinguish. Make difference between two things. Make difference between two things. Make difference between two things, okay? And distinguish languages from dialects. Example, the different varieties of the same language. Academics estimate there are 5,000 to 6,000 languages in the world today. However, 96% of the world's population speaks only 4% of these languages. What do you mean by dialects? In the first paragraph, in the second line, we have read dialects. Dialects. It means regional or local language. Okay, dialects means regional or local language, ilakai zaban. So what happened? However, 96% of the world's population speaks only 4% of these languages. Some languages have millions of speakers and Chinese has over 1 billion. Other languages, however, have very few speakers and are therefore a danger of extinction. Extinction, danger of extinction means it is going to be a dead language. They have got billions of languages, but there are no speakers. There are many languages that people used to speak around the world which have now disappeared. The reason for this is that a language needs at least 100,000 speakers in order to survive. Okay? What it happens? If there are no 100,000 speakers, disappears. Disappear. Disappear meaning vanish. غائب ہو جانا. If there are no 100,000 speakers, the language will disappear and it will not survive. Otherwise, it is likely to become a dead language. Students of classics will learn dead languages such as ancient Greek and Latin, but they don't speak them in their everyday lives. Manx disappeared from the Isle of Man in 1974, and both Udihi in Siberia and Arikapo in the Amazon jungle are doing out. In Alaska, there's only one person left who speaks Yak, and she is 83 years old. Just imagine, there is a woman in Alaska and she wants her language to be alive. She wants her language to survive. She is 83 years old. Only one woman is trying to survive the language. Does this mean that languages which don't belong to that 4% are eventually going to die out? Probably not. In Hawaii, Cornwall and Wales, people speak the local languages that used to be dead. So in other words, there's still hope. You know, people are trying not to lose their languages. They don't want their languages to be dead. The best example is in Cornwall and Hawaii. They are still having hope that they will get that the languages will survive. So what do you mean by dead language? Dead language. What do you mean by dead language? Not spoken or not in use. What do you mean by eventually? What does it mean, eventually? What do you mean? Eventually means what? Just stress on your mind. Something that may happen. And the last word is probably. Probably means likely to be. These are the words which are used in your extract. Distinguish, make difference between two things. Dialects, regional or local language. Disappear, vanish. Dead language, not spoken or not in use. Eventually, something that may happen, probably likely to be. I hope you have understood the extract very nicely. Okay, and now there is a question. How many languages do you think exist in the world today? This is copy work. This is homework. It is also given in the solution. Do you think exist means are still in use? Okay? How many languages do you think exist in the world today? Then second one is, do you know of any languages that nobody speaks anymore? You know about any languages that nobody speaks anymore? Okay, then you have got true or false. Okay, read the text again and write T for true or F for false. I will read for you. If you have a pencil, you can do right now. There are over 6,000 languages in the world today. Dialects are languages. C, the Chinese language is in danger of extinction. D, a language which has 100,000 speakers is a dead language. Then E, people still speak Manx on the Isle of Man. F, people in Siberia used to speak Uddihi. And then there is G, nobody speaks the local language of Cornwall anymore. If you have not done, please do it in homework. You have to do A to G in the book, okay? But copy work is more preferable. So please do it as a copy work. Then we got the words and phrases. This is the last question, words and phrases. I told you phrase is an incomplete sentence. We have to complete it. Look at the prepositional phrases with in and use them to complete the sentence. E to F. In is a preposition, so whenever you are going to make a phrase with in, it is called as a prepositional phrase. Number 1, in bed. See, it is over here. Page number 34. In bed, in the beginning, in danger, in pen, in my free time, in other words. Okay, these are the prepositional phrases you have to use here. Number 1, the children wanted to come to London with us, but now they don't. So you can use in the beginning. In the beginning, the children wanted to come to London with us, but now they don't. Okay. Tanya doesn't feel well. She's been in bed all day. So please do this work, complete the sentences in the copy work. All this work is being given as copy work, okay? And now, as usual, we have got functions and structures. Functions and structures are this is also homework, okay? And all is copy work. All is copy work. Words and phrases, page number 34. I have explained you. I have done 2 sentences for you. And this also I explained you. Write T for true and F for false. I hope you might have understood. I am writing in them so that it will be helpful even for your homework. Functions, telling about habitual actions in the past. In this lesson, we have learnt about the habitual actions in the past. We have learned just now that Greek was also spoken, used to be spoken. So these are all the habitual actions in the past. Now for structures, what are we using? Verb, noun, phrases and expressions. What is the verb? Used to. The verb used to, noun. Then we got phrases. And expressions. Of course, we have just now learned just now I have told you in the bed, in the morning, okay, in the beginning. These are all phrases. I hope you might have understood this very well, okay. So please complete your work or enjoy your lot, but don't shirk your work. Kaam se dil mat churao. I hope you might have understood very well that the languages need 100,000 people. It can survive. Thank you so much.